UCLA slides past USC in the AP Top 25, just like random creeps slide into my wife's DMs. The Rams' loss may not totally be on the kicker, but he did cost them 7 points, so there's that. And LAFC will face an all-too-familiar opponent in MLS Cup playoffs. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos morning report. So it is October 23rd, 2023, and it was a tough day yesterday for the Angelenos, but there's always a lot to talk about when it's LA sports. And if you like being in the know about LA, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It lets you know we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. So before we go through the news and notes, a look at the scoreboard. Yesterday, Tutu Atwell caught a 31-yard touchdown pass. Darrell Henderson rushed for a touchdown in his return to the Rams. And the Rams lost to Pittsburgh 24-17. It's a game they honestly shouldn't have lost, but we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. In addition to that, the Kansas City Swifties, they took out the Chargers 31-17. Justin Herbert passed for 259 yards, but he also threw 2 interceptions. And the Swifties, well, they rolled out with 24 points in the first half, never looked back. The Bolts are falling to 2-4. Meanwhile, today, there are no games involving LA teams. But let's get to the news. First, all credit due to UCLA. Absolutely. And I say that as a Trojans fan, because I want to be fair. Ever since the bowl debacles for both the Trojans and the Bruins, like a mantra on this channel, we have said that the first school to play defense, the first school to embrace sanity, is going to be the team that gets feared in LA. UCLA did, and now they've worked over the Trojans in the AP poll. They're 23rd, USC is 24th. It is continuing the eye-popping fall for USC since being ranked 6th in the preseason poll. What a dramatic, ugly, nasty fall. And I'd love to be able to credit the Bruins even more. But here's the problem. There's so much drama going on at USC that we have to talk about that. So, sorry guys. Sorry if you're a UCLA fan. I did look for the news. I did. But everything now is about Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams. For example, Lincoln Riley comes out and said the Trojans have been burdened by big expectations and, quote, I don't know where that narrative starts, unquote. So I'd like to be helpful. Coach Riley, it started with you. It did. He told his players after the Cotton Bowl loss in January that they should go for the college football playoffs this season. And then he pretty much told the same damn thing to Bill Plaschke of the LA Times. This is what he told the players, quote, we're going to put a plan together for this team to go get what was out there, what we left hanging the year before, unquote. But I'll be honest with you, I don't want to kick a man too much when he's down. We can talk at length about USC's program and what it needs to accomplish in the near future. We can do that on Friday Night Chalk Talk, for example. But we also have to address 2 stories that have come out about USC that are absolutely absurd. First of all, there was a rumor that came out last week that said Lincoln Riley was angling for an NFL job. Quash the rumors. It is not going to happen. Not now. A couple of years, possibly. Now, hell no. He did it, Riley did his part to quash them himself. Quote, we're not going anywhere. We've signed up to do this thing for a long time, unquote. But let's assume you do not trust Lincoln Riley. Ask yourself this. Name an NFL team that is going to pay this guy more than what USC is paying him right now. Anybody going to top the $10 million a year that USC is paying Lincoln Riley? Anyone? Bueller? Huh? Right? And by the way, Lincoln Riley loves to call all the shots. Tell me an NFL team that's going to pay Lincoln Riley more than $10 million a year and say, you know what? Yeah, why not let Alex Grinch fail up even more to the NFL? Does any of that make any sense to you? It doesn't to me. So Lincoln Riley staying at USC. The second idiotic rumor came from a hot take specialist. He's a former football player, Emmanuel Acho. He now works on Fox Sports. And of course, whenever you have to hang out with Skip Bayless, you know you're in a competition to the absolute bottom of the well of stupidity. Put on a snorkel, start going further down the well of stupidity until one of you idiots hits rock bottom first. This is Acho's idea of a take, that Caleb Williams needs to hang it up right now because he's already proven everything in college ball and just go to the NFL. I could list off a dozen ways why that's stupid, but I'm going to give you one very critical reason why it's not going to happen. If you're an NFL general manager and you're looking for a franchise quarterback and you look at Caleb Williams, aren't you saying, why did you quit on your team halfway through the year? You quit. You didn't just say, you know what, for my health, it's not a meaningful bowl game. We're in the Alamo Bowl. I'm just going to hang it up. I'm just going to miss this one game so I can prepare for the NFL Combine. They'll forgive you for that. Half a year? Half a year. And all you're doing is just throwing footballs through a tire or something? Name me an NFL GM that would not see that as a red flag. You could kiss the number 1 overall draft pick goodbye if you do that. So no, Caleb Williams is not hanging it up. He's not he may not have had a couple of good games, but he's not that stupid. He is not a stupid man. He's at least going to finish the regular season. The Rams have a bigger problem than losing to the Steelers. Kicker Brett Maher, he missed multiple field goals yesterday, and he missed a point after touchdown. 7 points. By the way, if you remember the score, the Rams lost by 7 points. Maher is a thorn in the crotch of the Rams right now, because this is the first time he's missed on multiple field goal attempts. He has missed multiple field goal attempts 3 times this year. He only connects on 73.9% of his field goals. That ranks him 29th among the league's kickers. There are 32 teams in the league. In other words, he is super close to being butt naked last among all kickers. And I will say, I do remember my dad saying it's okay to be 29th, but that's not going to cut it in the NFL. And Sean McVay knows this. Quote, he's got to be better, unquote. Don't be surprised if there's a tryout this week, because the Rams know they can't afford to give away games like they did against Pittsburgh. And yes, I did see the game. I am aware that there was an absolutely atrocious call by the refs on 4th down, giving Kenny Pickett a first late in the game when it was pretty obvious he did not reach the marker. But McVay said what I was thinking. If the Rams did not play so poorly all game long, they would not have needed the refs to make a call on their behalf. A lot of people who cover the NFL believe that if you're not an elite team, one time out of every 4 weeks, you are going to stink up the joint. You just can't get up for every football game. You can't. No matter how hard you try, unless you're an elite player and your team is elite, there's going to be times where you're just not going to have it. And the Rams didn't yesterday. So I'm not pushing the panic button, but they played like garbage yesterday, and they know it, and not getting a call on 4th down, that's still on them. Meanwhile, speaking about the Chargers, did you know that Patrick Mahomes is the second quarterback this year to pass for more than 400 yards on the defensive whiz kid, Brandon Staley? And I tell you something, I'm going to read you a quote, and you tell me if this doesn't signal that the players are getting a little bit tired of the act. This comes from Michael Davis, a cornerback. Quote, when you come down to play the Kansas City Chiefs, you've got to come out and play man and get on their ass, unquote. He said this because the Chargers' game plan was almost all zone. Travis Kelce, the tight end for the Chiefs, knows how to exploit zone defenses, as does Mahomes. It was Mahomes to Kelsey almost all day long. Is it possible? And by the way, Derwin James said something with few cuss words in it that indicated the same thing. Are these not, I'm just asking, are these not low-key quotes to kind of shove Brandon Staley under the bus? I don't know, but it sounds like it. MLS cannot stop tinkering with its playoff format, so I'm glad that I did not tell you who I thought LAFC was going to be playing after Decision Day, because I thought it was FC Dallas, and I would have been wrong. The Black and Gold are going to play Vancouver in a best-of-3 series. The first game is going to be at BMO Stadium at 5 p.m. on Saturday, but I'm sitting there thinking best-of-3. And by the way, who did they play on Decision Day? Vancouver. You're going to tell me that there's not going to be a little chippiness after playing possibly 4 consecutive soccer games against the same people? Oh, there's going to be some yellows and some reds flying around in that series. They're going to be sick of looking at each other. I promise you that. Dennis Bouanga may have won the Golden Boot, but there's a good chance he's going to want the Golden Cup by the end of the series. But if you're a fan of the Black and Gold, and you can obviously recognize I'm a Galaxy fan, but this is not a cheap shot. If you're a fan of the Black and Gold, if you're honest, are you a little fearful of this series? And let me tell you why you should be. You don't know which LAFC team you're going to get. LAFC only scored once in the season finale against Vancouver. The prior 2 games, 9 goals. The prior 4 games before that, shut out all 4 times. They are not consistent. They go to the Champions League final for CONCACAF, and then they go on this crazy losing streak during MLS immediately after. This team is trying to defend an MLS Cup playoff, and they are not playing at a consistent level. So I'm not telling you who I think is going to win this series, because the smart money says LAFC. But then you look at the consistency and you ask, is any money really that smart? Meanwhile, Galaxy players are finally admitting that the fan boycott at the beginning of the year to oust club president Chris Klein actually did impact the team. Eric Zavaleta said that there was like a dark cloud hovering over Dignity Health Sports Park while fans boycotted the team for Chris Klein and his decade of cheating and incompetence. The Klein out movement. I tell you something, I did watch Galaxy soccer games on TV, and it was so depressing to see. It was like listening to The Cure mixed in with Alice in Chains while Dr. Phil was reading suicide notes. That's how depressing watching Galaxy soccer was during the Klein out movement. And Raheem Edwards actually did admit it, as well as Zavaleta. Quote, it affected some guys in the locker room, obviously the coaching staff, and obviously the higher-ups. It took a little off of us, unquote. So yeah, the fans did get their goal, and I'm glad we all got the goal of getting Chris Klein out of the organization. But this year was simply one just to throw away while the franchise hopefully reboots itself for next year. Terrence Mann spoke with the LA Times about being the alleged apple of Philadelphia's eye in a James Harden to the Clippers trade. Said the Clippers starter, quote, I'm in the gym every day to make myself better and to make myself a valuable piece in the league that people want. That is what I strive to be. I'm not surprised by it at all, unquote. In other words, he's not surprised by being a focal point in trade talks. The Clippers also waived Xavier Moon and Joey Hauser, which reduces the roster to 18 players. Moon might wind up joining the Clippers G League team. Jared Vanderbilt of the Lakers said he had to up his game after losing playing time in the playoffs. Quote, I worked a lot on shooting, finishing, ball handling, pretty much touching up everything. I feel like each and every summer I try to get better in every aspect of the game, unquote. Here's the deal. Vanderbilt was brought in to be a defensive specialist. He was terrific at it. But people weren't even attempting to guard him during the playoffs because they knew he couldn't shoot. So in other words, he knows to keep his spot somewhere in the rotation, he needs to put some points in the bucket. He also expressed gratitude for the Lakers for putting faith in him. They signed him to a long-term extension this summer. Do you remember how we were once wondering if anybody was going to claim the number one spot in goal for the LA Kings? That was a cute time. Weren't we so naive then? Guys, it's Cam Talbot. Straight and simple. Cam Talbot, his save percentage through 3 games was .916. It's his job. It just is. And finally, the inglorious purging of random pitchers continues for the LA Dodgers. Relief pitcher Wander Suero was clearing waivers and he chose to become a free agent instead of staying in LA. He spent most of the season pitching for the Oklahoma City Dodgers, I should say, in AAA. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me about UCLA versus USC in terms of who has the better football team. Did, in fact, the Rams faceplant on their own terms on Sunday as opposed to having the refs steal a game from them? And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corta El Queso production. Take care.